Commander Red stood at the bridge of his warship, his 4 eyes fixed on the small blue planet that hung in the darkness of space. The humans called it Earth, though it hardly seemed worth a name. His team had spent 3 cycles studying this primitive species, and everything pointed to an easy victory. Their fastest ships could barely reach their own moon. Their weapons still used crude chemical explosives. Their cities had no energy shields. The outpost near Mars would be their first target. Red had chosen it carefully, a small research station with only 30 humans inside. It would be a perfect demonstration of Dominion power, quick and clean. The humans would learn their place, just like every other species before them. "All units in position," reported Captain Blue from the tactical station. "The humans have not detected our presence. Their primitive sensors are only watching for radio signals." Red's upper lip curled in what his species considered a smile. The Dominion had moved past radio technology thousands of years ago. Begin the attack. Standard conquest protocol. 3 Dominion fighter ships moved toward the station, their stealth fields making them invisible to human technology. Red watched through the high-resolution feed as they surrounded the small, cylindrical structure. Its solar panels stretched out like fragile wings, ready to be snapped. "Sir," Blue's voice carried a note of confusion. "The station's outer hull. It's different from our scans." Red zoomed in on the image. The previously smooth metal surface now showed subtle changes, small bumps and irregularities that hadn't been there during their surveillance. Before he could analyze further, the station's surface suddenly erupted in a spray of tiny objects. "Evasive action," Blue shouted, but it was too late. The cloud of small metal pieces surrounded the Dominion fighters, and then, to Red's shock, began to move with purpose. They were some kind of automated defense system, too small and numerous to target effectively. "Impossible," Red muttered. The humans hadn't shown any sign of such technology. The tiny defenders swarmed around his fighters, finding and attaching themselves to crucial weak points in the ship's armor. "Sir, we're losing contact with Fighter 2. Fighter 3. Fighter 1 is..." Blue's voice cut off as the feed showed all 3 ships suddenly power down, drifting helplessly in space. Red felt his stomach twist. This was not how first contact was supposed to go. The Dominion had conquered 16 different species across the galaxy, and none had ever surprised them like this. Launched the second wave. Full combat protocol. 6 more fighters moved in, weapons charge. This time, they kept their distance, firing energy beams at the station. The human structure's surface rippled, and the beams scattered harmlessly away. Some kind of adaptive shielding, but again, nothing like this had shown up in their scans. "Commander," one of his junior officers called out, "we're detecting energy builds up within the station. They appear to be..." A brilliant flash cut him off as the station released pulses of energy unlike anything in the Dominion database. The beams twisted in ways that defied normal physics, striking 4 of the 6 fighters. Where they hit, the ship's own energy systems seemed to turn against them, causing cascading failures. Red watched in stunned silence as his second wave of fighters either shut down or retreated. The human station hadn't even been scratched. Somehow, in the mere months since their last scan, the humans had developed multiple technologies that the Dominion's best scientists would have considered impossible. "All units withdraw," Red ordered. His mind raced, trying to understand what had just happened. The humans must have known they were being watched, but instead of showing fear or trying to negotiate, they had used that time to prepare defenses that specifically countered Dominion technology. No species had ever adapted so quickly, so efficiently. As his ship retreated to a safe distance, Red began reviewing everything they knew about humans. There had to be something they'd missed, some explanation for this unprecedented response to a first contact situation. In all his years of military service, he had never seen a primitive species turn its technological disadvantage into a strength so effectively. In his private quarters later, Red recorded his first report about humans. He wrote and rewrote the opening lines several times before settling on. Standard conquest protocols may be insufficient. Humanity displays concerning levels of adaptive capability and technological innovation under threat. Recommend comprehensive re-evaluation before proceeding with further contact. He didn't know it then, but this would be the first of many reports that would eventually lead to a complete overhaul of how the Dominion dealt with humans. And it all started with 30 humans in a small research station who proved that being technologically primitive didn't mean being defenseless. The defeat at Mars changed something in Commander Red. While other Dominion officers returned to their usual duties, he spent every free moment studying humans. His private quarters became filled with holographic displays showing Earth's military history, each telling a story that made him more uneasy. "Look at this," he said to Captain Blue, pointing to an image of ancient human warriors. These humans fought with sharp metal sticks called swords. When they found enemies with better swords, they didn't give up. They made better ones. When they found walls they couldn't break, they built machines to break them. Blue looked bored. "All species develop better weapons over time, Commander." "No, you don't understand." Red pulled up another display, this one showing modern human conflicts. Most species develop weapons slowly, over hundreds or thousands of years. Humans do it in the middle of fights. Look at this thing they call World War II. They went from basic flying machines to jets that broke the sound barrier in just 6 years. 6 years. The displays changed again, showing countless human battles. Red had watched them all multiple times, seeing something new each time. When other species lose battles, they become cautious. They retreat, rebuild, try to copy their enemies' weapons. Humans do something different. They get creative, desperate, dangerous. Blue shifted uncomfortably. "The High Command won't like this obsession with humans, Commander. They're preparing a full invasion fleet. The Mars incident was just a small setback." Red ignored him, focusing on a new display showing the Mars outpost. "We still don't understand how they knew we were coming, or how they built those defenses so quickly. Our spies report they're already spreading similar technology to other outposts. They're learning, adapting, preparing. They're primitive," Blue insisted. "Their main civilization doesn't even have energy weapons yet." "That's what worries me." Red brought up side-by-side images, one of early human spears, another of their latest space stations. "Look at how far they've come in just a few thousand years. Most species take tens of thousands of years to make similar progress, and now we've shown them our technology exists. We've given them a target to aim for." The next display showed human entertainment videos, things they called science fiction. Red had watched hundreds of them. Fascinated, they spend their free time imagining future technologies, thinking about how to fight alien invaders. They've been preparing for us in their minds for generations, running countless battle scenarios. What other species does that? Blue finally showed some interest. "You think their imagination helps them fight? I think it makes them unique." Red pulled up data from his research. "Every other species we've conquered tried to copy our technology exactly. Humans look at it and think, how can we make this work differently? Better? How can we turn it against them?" Their creativity under pressure is unprecedented. A message flashed across the displays. The High Command wanted another report on the Mars incident. Red had been sending them warnings for days, but they kept dismissing his concerns. They saw only a primitive species that got lucky once. "The High Command thinks overwhelming force will win this fight," Red said, shutting down the displays. "They don't understand that humans are like their old pressure cookers. The more force you apply, the more explosive they become." Blue looked confused. Pressure cookers. A primitive cooking device. Apply too much pressure and it explodes. That's what humans do. Under enough pressure, they don't break. They explode with innovation, and we're about to apply more pressure than they've ever faced. As Blue left, Red started writing another report. He knew the High Command wouldn't listen, but he had to try. He wrote about human adaptability, their rapid technological progress, their strange ability to become more innovative under threat. He included examples from their history, showing how often human defenders had turned the tables on technologically superior attackers. At the end, he added a personal note. In all our history of conquest, we have never encountered a species that becomes more dangerous when we try to destroy it. Our standard tactics assume that showing our technological superiority will cause species to submit. With humans, our every show of force teaches them, inspires them, drives them to exceed their limitations. The more we try to prove their inferiority, the more they seem determined to prove us wrong. He sent the report, knowing it would be ignored like all the others. The invasion fleet was already gathering. Soon, the Dominion would learn the hard way what Red had discovered in his research. Humans were at their most dangerous when you thought you had them beaten. The Dominion invasion fleet darkened Earth's skies. 10,000 ships, arranged in perfect attack formation, emerged from faster-than-light travel. Commander Red watched from his command post, knowing his warnings had fallen on deaf ears. The High Command had given him a choice: lead the attack or face punishment for his excessive caution. He chose to lead, hoping he could at least minimize the damage. All ships in position, Captain Blue reported. The humans appear to be celebrating. Red checked the scans. Indeed, across Earth's cities, humans were gathering in streets, looking up at the sky. But they weren't panicking. They were smiling, taking pictures. Some were even having parties. Begin the attack, Red ordered reluctantly. Target their military bases first. The first wave of Dominion ships descended, energy weapons charged. They fired at Earth's largest military installation, expecting to see it vaporize. Instead, the beams hit something invisible and scattered into beautiful patterns of light. Impossible, Blue shouted. They've replicated our shield technology. Red knew better. No, they've made something new. Look at how the energy disperses. They're not blocking our weapons, they're redirecting them, making them harmless, beautiful, even. They turned our attack into a light show. Before the Dominion fleet could adjust, Earth's response began. Thousands of small objects launched from the ground. Simple rockets, barely more advanced than fireworks. The Dominion ships ignored them, their shields designed to stop energy weapons. But these rockets didn't explode. Instead, they released clouds of tiny machines, similar to the ones that had disabled the fighters at Mars, but different, more advanced. Evasive action, Red ordered, but it was too late. The tiny machines attached themselves to Dominion ships, and then something unexpected happened. Instead of disabling the ships, they began to change them. Dominion technology started working in ways it wasn't supposed to. Weapons fired backward. Shields protected Earth instead of the ships. Communication systems broadcast human music. They've turned our own technology against us, Red realized. All those celebrations, they were confident because they were ready for us. The second wave of Dominion ships tried a different approach, launching ground troops into major cities. Red watched as soldiers in advanced battle armor descended, ready to fight primitive humans with simple projectile weapons. But the humans weren't using simple weapons anymore. In New York, they had modified their subway trains into electromagnetic launching systems, firing makeshift projectiles at speeds that could pierce Dominion armor. In Tokyo, they had turned their cell phone networks into a weapon, overwhelming Dominion communication systems with billions of simultaneous signals. In Lagos, they had somehow programmed swarms of delivery drones to work together, creating aerial nets that caught and grounded Dominion dropships. Sir, Blue's voice shook. We're losing ships faster than we can count. Each human city has different defenses, different tricks. We can't adapt fast enough. Red watched as a group of human teenagers in London used modified gaming controllers to hijack a Dominion walker, making it dance what they called the robot in the middle of Trafalgar Square. In Rio, beach umbrellas turned out to be disguised signal jammers. In Mumbai, Traffic cameras fired pulses that turned Dominion energy shields into bubbles of soap. The humans, Red said quietly, they're not just fighting us. They're having fun doing it. They've turned our invasion into a game, a challenge, a chance to show off their creativity. The High Command sent frantic orders. Press the attack. They're just primitives with tricks. We have superior numbers. But numbers meant nothing when each human city, each group, each individual seemed to have their own unique way of turning Dominion technology into something else. Something unexpected. Within hours, half the invasion fleet was disabled, not destroyed. The humans were capturing the ships, studying them, improving them, using them. Send the signal, Red finally ordered. Full retreat. As the remaining Dominion ships fled Earth's orbit, Red looked at the planet one last time. The humans had done more than defeat them. They had humiliated them, turned their mighty invasion into what looked like a global festival of innovation and creativity. In his final report of the day, Red wrote only one line. The humans don't view our superior technology as a threat. They see it as inspiration. And that makes them more dangerous than any species we've ever encountered. After the failed main invasion, the High Command ordered smaller, targeted attacks. They chose the Australian outback for their next strike, believing its sparse population and harsh environment would make it an easy target. Commander Red knew better, but his superiors ignored him again. The Dominion's newest warship, the Planet Crusher, appeared over a small mining town called Broken Hill. It was their biggest ship, carrying enough firepower to turn continents to ash. Red watched from a support vessel, already dreading what would happen. Just miners down there, Captain Blue said, checking the scans. No military, no advanced technology, nothing but basic mining equipment, and a few thousand humans. The Planet Crusher's commander, Green, spoke over the communication channel. This will show humans what real power looks like. No clever tricks will save them this time. Red noticed something odd on his screens. The miners weren't running. They were driving their huge yellow machines out of the town, forming a circle in the red desert sand. Some were using excavators to dig trenches. Others were positioning drilling rigs. To anyone else, it looked like they were just continuing their work. They're ignoring us, Green said angrily. Fire the main weapon. Let's see them mine their way out of this. The Planet Crusher's weapon powered up, gathering enough energy to melt mountains. Red noticed the mining machines were now moving in strange patterns, their metal arms reaching up toward the sky. The diggers had created a perfect circle of trenches filled with something that sparkled. The weapon fired. A beam of pure energy shot toward the town. But when it hit the circle of trenches, something impossible happened. The sparkly material in the trenches lit up. The beams split into thousands of smaller beams, each one bouncing between the mining machines like light in a hall of mirrors. They turned the whole desert into some kind of energy redirecting system. Red shouted, but it was too late. The reflected energy beams started hitting the Planet Crusher in precise spots. The miners weren't just reflecting the attack. They were focusing it, using their knowledge of cutting rock to cut through the ship's hull instead. Their mining machines moved like a synchronized dance team, adjusting the angles of reflection with perfect timing. Impossible, Green stammered. They're just miners. No, Red corrected him. They're humans who happen to mine. There's a difference. The Planet Crusher's weapons kept firing, but each shot was caught in the miners' improvised energy web. They used their drilling equipment to send vibrations through the ground, creating patterns in the sand that somehow interfered with the ship's stabilizers. Mining explosives, normally used to break up rock, were launched in careful sequences that disrupted the ship's shield frequencies. A group of miners drove their trucks in a spiral pattern, dragging chains that created a massive electromagnetic field. Others used their knowledge of geological formations to predict and target structural weaknesses in the alien ship. Each human added their specific mining expertise to the fight, working together like they'd practiced this their whole lives. We're losing control. Green's voice crackled with panic. The ship's systems are. The Planet Crusher, pride of the Dominion fleet, started to slowly descend. The miners had transformed their entire operation into a giant tractor beam, using principles from their ore processing systems to literally pull the massive ship down to Earth. Red watched in amazement as the miners secured the damaged but largely intact Planet Crusher using nothing but mining equipment. They even used their lunch break to do it, stopping halfway through to drink something they called beer, while their machines kept the ship perfectly trapped in their web of reflected energy. "You see," Red told Blue, who stood speechless beside him, "this is why we can't beat them. We think of humans as primitive because they use simple tools. But give them any tool, any technology, and they'll find 1,000 ways to use it that we never imagined." As their support ship retreated, Red added one final note to his report. "Today, a group of human miners captured our most powerful warship using nothing but mining equipment and their understanding of how to break really hard things. They didn't just defeat us, they made it look easy. And then they celebrated with drinks." The Dominion High Command's meeting chamber was designed to make everyone feel small. Massive black pillars reached up into darkness, and the 7 High Commanders sat on elevated platforms, looking down at anyone who dared address them. Commander Red stood before them, determined to make them understand the truth about humans before it was too late. "You summoned me to explain my recent reports," Red began, his voice steady despite his nervousness. "I'm here to tell you that everything we thought we knew about conquest is wrong. Humans are different. Different." The first commander's voice boomed through the chamber. "They are primitive. They still burn fossil fuels. They fight among themselves. They can barely reach their own moon." Red activated a holographic display, showing footage from their defeats. "Look at what these primitives did to us. The Mars station that destroyed our best fighters. The global invasion that turned into a humiliation. And now, simple miners who captured our strongest warship with equipment meant to dig holes in the ground. Lucky victories," the second commander dismissed. "They caught us by surprise." "No," Red insisted. "They were ready for us. Every defeat teaches them. Every technology we show them becomes a new toy for them to play with, take apart, and improve." He showed more images, humans already modifying captured Dominion technology, creating hybrid weapons that shouldn't have been possible. The third commander leaned forward. "You sound like you admire these creatures." "I fear them," Red corrected. "And you should too. Look at this." He showed scenes from Earth's recent history. In just the last 100 years, they went from primitive flying machines to space stations, from simple radios to worldwide instant communication, from basic computing to artificial intelligence. They do in decades what took us centuries. The fourth commander waved dismissively. "Yet they waste time on entertainment, games, and useless pursuits. Those useless pursuits are exactly what make them dangerous." Red's voice echoed through the chamber. "Their entertainment imagines future technologies that they then build. Their games train them to solve problems in creative ways. Even their jokes help them think differently about situations." Red showed more footage. Human children playing with captured Dominion devices, fearlessly taking them apart, combining them with toys, creating things that the Dominion's best engineers hadn't thought possible. "Our scientists spent 10 generations perfecting our energy shields," Red continued. "Human teenagers figured out how to reverse them in weeks, just because someone said it would be cool to turn them into bubble makers. They don't think like us. They don't care about doing things the right way. They care about doing things new ways." The fifth commander's eyes narrowed. "You went to observe them directly, didn't you? Against orders." Red stood straighter. "Yes, I had to understand. And what I saw terrified me. They have museums about war, not to mourn it, but to learn from it. They have schools where they teach children to question everything, even their own teachers. They make mistakes, and instead of hiding them, they share them so others can learn too." "Enough." The first commander's voice shook the chamber. "You were one of our best commanders. Now you speak of primitives like they're some kind of superior beings. Not superior, Red said quietly. Different. Special. Every species we've conquered tried to become like us. Humans take what we show them and make it their own. Every weapon we use against them becomes their new inspiration. Every defeat makes them stronger. The sixth commander spoke for the first time. You suggest we should fear a species that hasn't even unified their own planet. Their disunity is another strength we don't understand, Red replied. They have thousands of different ways of thinking, fighting, creating. We can't predict them because they don't even think alike among themselves. The seven commanders exchanged looks. The first commander's voice turned cold. You are relieved of your command, effective immediately. Your concern for these primitives has clouded your judgment. As guards led him away, Red spoke one last time. They're not primitives. They're the most dangerous species we've ever encountered, and they're getting stronger every time we fight them. When you finally understand that, it will be too late. 3 months after his dismissal, Red sat in a small observation post on the edge of Dominion space, watching Earth through long-range sensors. His new job was meant to be a punishment, but he didn't mind. It gave him a perfect view of his predictions coming true. The humans had been busy. They hadn't just copied the captured Dominion technology. They had changed it, improved it, combined it with their own ideas in ways that made Red's head spin. Their space stations now had shields made from modified solar panels. Their satellites could hide in plain sight using technology based on octopus skin. They had even figured out how to make their internet run through quantum space. Emergency alert. The message flashed across every screen in the observation post. Multiple human ships detected in Dominion space. All commands respond. Red watched as the sensor data poured in. The human ships were unlike anything he had ever seen. Some looked like giant metal whales, swimming through space using magnetic fields. Others appeared to be made of glass and light, barely visible except when they moved. One seemed to be a flying sports stadium, complete with cheering crowds watching the battle through force fields. Sir, a young officer burst into his room. The High Command. They're requesting your presence. The humans. They're attacking everything. Red followed the officer to the communication room. The screen showed chaos across Dominion space. Humans hadn't just learned to copy Dominion weapons. They had reimagined the whole idea of space warfare. Their ships carried modified mining beams that could pull apart Dominion vessels and reassemble them into something new. They had turned atmospheric processors into weapons that could change the very nature of space around their targets. Some ships carried what looked like giant versions of children's toys, but these toys could redirect energy weapons back at their sources. Commander Red, the first commander's voice was no longer dismissive. Your warnings. We should have listened. The humans. They're not just fighting us. They're transforming everything they capture. On the screens, Red watched as human ships approached a Dominion defense station. Instead of destroying it, they surrounded it with smaller vessels that looked like mechanical jellyfish. Energy tendrils reached out, and within minutes, the station began to change. Its weapon systems turned into communication arrays. Its shields became gardens where food could be grown in space. They're not just winning, Red observed. They're showing us new ways to use our own technology. Look, they're turning our weapons into tools, our military bases into trading posts, our warships into exploration vessels. Another screen showed a human ship approaching a Dominion colony. Instead of attacking, they'd broadcast messages in multiple languages, offering to teach the colonists how to modify their technology to work better. Many colonists were accepting the offer. How do we stop them? The second commander asked, panic in his voice. We don't, Red replied. They're not trying to conquer us like we tried to conquer them. They're trying to show us what's possible. Look at their ships. Each one is different. Each one shows a new way of thinking about space travel, about technology, about everything. The High Command fell silent as they watched more footage. Human ships were appearing everywhere. But they weren't destroying anything they didn't have to. Instead, they were changing things, improving things, showing the galaxy new possibilities that neither humans nor Dominion had imagined before. In 3 months, Red continued, they took our best technology and made it better. Not by making it more powerful, but by making it more interesting, more useful, more fun. They turned our military technology into a source of innovation and creativity. A new alert flashed. Human ships were approaching the High Command Center itself. But these ships looked different from the others. They were carrying representatives from Earth, coming to offer peace terms. They're not coming to demand our surrender, Red realized, studying the ship's designs. They're coming to invite us to join them in exploration. They want to share what they've learned, combine our knowledge with their creativity. The first commander turned to Red. You understood them from the beginning. What do we do now? Red smiled for the first time in months. We listen. We learn. And maybe we finally admit that sometimes the most powerful species isn't the one with the biggest weapons. It's the one that can imagine the most possibilities. 5 years after the first contact with humans, Commander Red stood before a new class of Dominion officers. The classroom wasn't the traditional dark chamber designed to intimidate. Instead, it was bright and open, with walls covered in human artwork and inventions, a reminder of how much had changed. Today's lesson is the most important one you'll ever learn, Red began, looking at the young officers. We're going to talk about why the Dominion's first contact protocol now begins with one simple rule. Under no circumstances should human populations be targeted for conquest or elimination. He pressed a button, and a hologram appeared showing Earth. This planet taught us that our entire understanding of species development was wrong. We thought technological advancement followed a straight line. Humans showed us it could spiral, loop, and jump in unexpected directions. A young officer raised her hand. But sir, humans still seem primitive in many ways. They still have poverty, conflicts, and environmental problems on their planet. Red smiled. Ah, that's exactly what I used to think. Watch this. He showed a hologram of a poor human village. These humans have limited resources, but look what they did with some broken Dominion technology we gave them. The hologram showed the villagers taking apart a damaged Dominion water purifier. Instead of trying to fix it the right way, they combined it with local materials, bicycle parts, and solar cells. The result was a new machine that not only purified water, but also used the process to generate electricity and grow food. This is why we don't fight humans, Red explained. Every problem we give them becomes an opportunity for innovation. Every limitation becomes a source of creativity. Where we see one solution, they see hundreds. He switched the hologram to show the new Joint Human-Dominion Space Academy. 5 years ago, we thought we would teach humans about proper space travel. Instead, they showed us how to make ships that could think differently. Some of their ideas seemed ridiculous at first. Ships powered by artificial stars, vessels that could fold space using mathematics we hadn't even imagined, engines that ran on what they called impossible physics. Another officer spoke up, but surely we're still more advanced in many areas. More technologically advanced, perhaps, Red agreed. But humans have something more valuable than advanced technology. They have endless ways of thinking about problems. Look at this. He showed footage of human children playing with Dominion technology. These young humans turned our most advanced quantum computer into a game console. But while playing, they discovered 3 new principles of quantum mechanics that our scientists had missed for centuries. The hologram changed to show various human innovations. They turned our waste disposal units into matter replicators. They'd modify our universal translators to communicate with dolphins and trees. They even found a way to make our military robots dance, and in doing so, revolutionized our understanding of artificial intelligence. Red walked among his students, looking at their faces. The old Dominion thought power came from having the most advanced technology. Humans taught us that real power comes from having the most ways of thinking about technology. They don't just use tools, they'd reimagine what tools can be. He showed one final hologram, the first human embassy on the Dominion homeworld. It was a stunning building that combined Dominion architecture with human creativity. Parts of it changed color based on emotions, other sections grew food in impossible patterns, and the whole structure somehow generated more energy than it used. This is why our protocol now focuses on learning from humans rather than conquering them, Red concluded. Because every time we think we figured them out, they surprise us with something new. They don't just adapt to challenges, they enjoy them. They don't just solve problems, they turn problems into opportunities. As his students took notes, Red looked out the window at the Earthships docked alongside Dominion vessels. Each human ship was different, a unique expression of its crew's imagination. Some were beautiful, others strange, all impossible by Dominion standards. And all of them worked. Remember this, he said softly. We don't kill humans not because they're strong or advanced, but because they show us new ways to be strong and advanced. In trying to conquer them, we found something better than victory. We found teachers who never stop learning, fighters who'd rather create than destroy, dreamers who make impossible things possible just because someone said they couldn't. In his office later, Red added one final line to the first contact protocol. When you meet humans, don't ask what they can do with your technology. Ask what they can imagine doing with it. The difference will amaze you.